Whew. So I just did a quick little hike up here. There's a lake. This is a trail super popular in Big Bear called Castle Rock. Fortunately, I'm here so early that nobody else is here. So when I announced that I was going to start a YouTube, a friend of mine commented quickly that I should really talk about stress because more than food and more than anything else, I do think that stress is a huge health trigger. I know in my own life I talk about it all the time, but I do think it's important to have reminders. So here's a little story. I am now 46. I will be 47 in December, day after Christmas. That is why my name is Holly. When I was 30, I went through a divorce. I had a child under a year old. Actually, he had just turned 1 by the time everything was over. And then I had a 4-year-old. So it was a really hard time. It was in 06 and 07 when the entire market was crashing. I was a real estate agent. So as you can imagine, all of my friends were losing their homes. It was incredibly stressful. Mind you, this was, 15 years ago. But I had this huge health crisis happen at the same time. I was selling real estate at night or during the day, depending on whatever shift I work. And I had to pick up a job as a bartender just to feed my kids. I mean, I was literally barely had the lights on. When I would sell a home, the commissions were like $2,000. It was just absolutely barely anything. My ex-husband at the time was living in our home while it was being foreclosed on. I moved out, was living in a little apartment with the 2 babies. I did not have any family locally. It was just incredibly stressful. I don't know. It was just awful, to say the least. So I was working at night, hustling, selling drinks, collecting whatever tips I could get, selling real estate during the day, dragging at least 1 baby along with me, throwing granola bars in the back seat, breastfeeding when I had to, just everything that you can imagine. I noticed this pain in one of my ankles, and I had such an incredible amount of fatigue, but I kept telling people, God, I'm so exhausted. People are like, well, that's stress. You're losing your house, you're losing your business, you lost your marriage, you're working 2 jobs. This is normal. And I'm like, okay, it doesn't feel normal. It felt really wrong. Well, my ankle ended up getting so incredibly swollen, I was limping on it for about a week. And then it just got progressively worse. And I was like, something is very, very wrong here. It got to the point where I couldn't even lay a sheet on my leg. It was so painful. It felt like someone was sawing my foot off. It was so intense. I had never felt anything like this. Mind you, I had endured natural childbirth, okay? I had 2 babies already. I had handled pregnancy. I could handle anything. This pain was something else. So I finally went to a doctor and they're like, wow, that looks like gout. And I'm like, what the fuck is gout? I'm a 30-year-old woman. How do I have gout? Isn't that like something old people get? So anyways, they did blood tests. I had none of I think it's called uric levels. I had nothing that they had as a marker for gout. I did come back the blood test with high white blood cell counts. I didn't know what that meant either. He said, maybe you have the flu. Okay. I went home. I was in so much pain at this point. I was pretty much using a cane to get around. I had my friends praying for me. I was sick as a dog. Now it wasn't just my ankle. I was sick. I mean, hurt to sit up in bed. It felt like someone punched me in the kidneys. I just kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker. I was just beside myself. I had to wake up with the baby all night. He one night actually woke up and threw my daughter's hairpin in his mouth and choked on it. I dug it out with chopsticks while I was screaming over 911 with the medics. I ended up getting it out before he got there. He literally went unconscious, and then I was able to get it out and free his airway. I mean, I'm telling you, my shit was falling apart. My car was being repossessed because it was in my ex-husband's name. I had 0 credit. I had been paying cash for everything. So I didn't have bad credit. I just had 0 credit. So I couldn't even buy a fucking car. I mean, everything you can imagine was against me at this point. And I just melted down. I finally was so sick and in so much pain, I couldn't get out of bed. And a friend of mine called a doctor that he knew, who was a functional medicine doctor at the time. And she came to my home. I was so sick I couldn't even go to her. Mind you, I don't even think I had gas money at the time. I mean, I was just falling apart. I had food in the fridge because this guy I was dating, who I'm now married to, thank you, we've been together 15 years, had brought food and put it in my refrigerator for me while I was at work because he knew I was too proud to take it. So, I mean, shit just couldn't get any worse. And she came over and she gave me an array of things to take. She goes, look, you're obviously having some sort of autoimmune meltdown here. My guess is rheumatoid arthritis. Whoops. At the time, I had already had a diagnosis for lupus that I wasn't quite adding up to me. Lupus is really weird. It's something that they just assign to everything, when they have like certain markers. So anyways, I had another doctor say, oh, it's definitely Lyme's. It's definitely this. I at this point was just like, I don't care what it is, just make it go away. She was like, it doesn't really matter what it is. So let's start from here and we'll go from there. So sure enough, I did start to feel better after a few days. But then a friend of mine was like, hey, I am going to come over and we're just going to sit down and pray. And I was like, okay. She was Buddhist. And she sat with me and she's like, dude, you got to calm down. And I was like, I am calm. Anyways, long story short, she guided me through some breathing and meditations, and she was Nichiren Buddhism, so we did some chanting, and wow, it was like this huge weight lifted off of me. And within days, my health improved by 50% and then 25%. And then I was just better. The ankle, by the way, was so swollen at this point, it took months for it to go down. I actually have scarring all around that ankle now, like blood vessels. It almost looks like purple blood vessels that are like exploded and stayed that way. And it's always been really swollen. But now it's my radar. And I'll tell you what, I think half of what happened was stress. I was later finally diagnosed with rheumatoid, like specifically. My mother has it. So then I knew, oh, okay, hello. One of the main triggers of rheumatoid is stress. So long story short, most of my friends, when they're going through things, their health declines, and that's pretty common. My dad passed away a year ago, my stepdad. My mother's health has declined. Stress is just insane. And we have to find ways to daily adjust that. This world that we're living in is not normal. We are not meant to live this way. We are not meant to wake up and check our phone 18 times out of anxiety. We are not meant to have all this chatter, this constant, it's too much. My clients want me available 24/7. And if I'm not, I'm an asshole. Dude, who's available 24/7? Like, we have to have time to just, texting is like, because we can text, it's like, I want an answer right now. When is it okay to just not respond, to be like, today is for me. Today is, I need medicine. I need calm. I need to de-stress. So I've just started daily, like, walking. Like, even if I leave the front door of my office and just walk in town for 30 minutes, I mean, I live in Big Bear. It's always beautiful. But still, that time to adjust my energy level is so important. And that ankle, funny enough, to this day, when I start to get upset, the next day it will I get a tingle in it. It's like, zzz, 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 and I'm like, are we gonna do this again? It's like a little radar reminder. It's like a stress indicator. I listened to it. Today, it was going off again. My 17-year-old son this morning, I had to take him to the personal trainer, and he said, okay, buddy. And you know what? My ankle just immediately started, zzz. I was like, dude. So he got out of the car at the gym, and I came up here and went hiking. And now I just wanted to take a minute to explain what stress does. I mean, it will completely break your body down to the point where anything that wasn't a big deal before becomes a very big deal. Stress will kill you. It actually will. The things that we get upset over are viable. I mean, they're real. I mean, the things that I'm going through right now, I'm being sued by an ex-employee for discrimination. And I mean, if you knew me, you'd know I'm like, that is not who I am. There's just always somebody. There's always something. There's always going to be something. There's always going to be the thing. And you just have to wake up and you have to give it to God. Yes, sometimes I hate when people say that. I want to give it to God, all right? Why does this shit keep happening to me, right? So, you just got to have faith in the fact that things will work themselves out. She can't kill me. She can't kill my kids. I mean, you almost have to think on an extreme level like that. So at this point, just take your minute. If it's 10 minutes, 5 minutes, anybody can lock themselves in the bathroom and take 20 deep breaths. Please just do it. You have to constantly be adjusting that stress level. We are living in a time in history that is so fucked up. It's too much. Turn it off. Even if it's for 5 to 10 minutes, it will be a huge, huge benefit to your health. So anyhow, do whatever you got to do. I would love some responses on what you do to de-stress on a daily. This is not like, oh, I took a vacation in Hawaii. Yeah, we'd all be calm in Hawaii, please. This is like daily what you do to calm the fuck down. I light a candle when I get home from work every day. Light a candle. Sometimes I'll burn an incense. It just, for me, the smell and the calm, it just slowly kind of starts to like trickle through my day. All right, so peace. Be good to yourself because nobody else will.